It's time for your Talk Time Live exclusive.
You are now about to witness the strength of geek knowledge.
Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest of 2022 is a man who can be considered an inspiration to many who desire to enter the world of video games. Making his fourth appearance, that's right, your fourth appearance on the show, formerly residing in my city of Philadelphia and currently living in Japan as the International Affairs Coordinator, producer, and now voice actor for Inti Creates. His name is Matt Papa, and he is here to talk about the upcoming sequel spinoff series known as GUNVOLT CHRONICLES LUMINOUS X2, which is available or will be available on January the 27th on all major platforms: Nintendo Switch, PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series XS, and Steam. Let's welcome back Matt to Talk Time Live. What's going on, brother?
Hey Dax, good to see you again, man. It's good to be back. It feels like a homecoming every time I talk to you.
But this is like the first time we literally saw each other since like way back, maybe like 6 years ago.
Oh my god, I know, it's crazy.
Crazy. Which is why I'm kind of wearing this hat. This hat is like kind of a tribute to when we first met, because it was at DJ Cutman's album release party for Meow Meow Bow Wow, and that's where I met you and Jessica. And it's been dope since, and your journey has been awesome.
Thank you, man. It's kind of insane, like, to think back, like, you know, at that time I didn't know what the heck I was doing, just like trying to get any foothold in the world of video games in any way possible that I could, and here we are.
I can tell you, man, between like honestly, between you, Mega Ran, and I would give Chris Cutman credit to that too. Like, you guys inspired me to even do what I'm doing now. Like, I looked at you and I was like, it wasn't my time yet, but I was really paying attention to what you were doing. It was just like making it happen. But it was a time when I was just tired of the office world, and I was just like, you know what?
I feel that, man.
It's time. But now it's like now it's, you know, we now live in a gig economy. It's a trend now to do what we both done like a few years back.
Crazy. No, it's true, man. Like, it's crazy how much has changed since then, and like it feels like, you know, forever ago and like yesterday at the same time. Like, I'll be in March, like just in like what, not even 2 months, like early March, there'll be 8 years in Japan.
Wow.
8. It's freaking nuts.
Technically, all right, so it wasn't 6 years ago, it was 8. So which means, because when you left, it was like not that far away from that album release party. So it's almost been a decade now.
Yeah, no, it has. Like, you know, like me and Jess actually just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations to you too.
Thank you. Yeah, that was just a couple days. That was on the 11th, so just a few days ago.
Right.
And like 10 years with her, almost 8 years now in Japan. Like time needs to just like pump the brakes a little bit and just kind of like ease forward. Like,
well, if it helps, I mean, we talked about the 10-year challenge and all that stuff, man. I mean, like, you look exactly the same as you did 10 years back.
Yeah, I definitely give that all credit to my mother, who is
as you should.
She's 63 years young, and anyone who ever sees a picture of me with her, you're like, that's your mom? No way. Like, there's no way. She's like, what she had you when she was like how? Like, the math doesn't add up. How does this work?
Right.
I'm like, I get it from her. So if Father Time is as kind to me as it is to her, I think it'll be all right.
Right. So I'm going to consider this actually a sort of a early birthday gift, because and you're in Japan right now. That means it's January the 14th, which is my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. And I'm going to, you know, it's still just a few hours shy, 3 hours shy from the 14th, but we're going to kick it off early right now.
Heck yeah, man. You got any big birthday plans for the big day for yourself?
Just probably not. I'm not really that hyped to do anything for real. For one thing, we're still in the pandemic. So
absolutely.
If I can't go Disney and like go crazy and have fun for real, like I did before, I'm not really stressed. And plus, like last year was an entire year, like 1 year Christmas for me, because, you know, I started working with Repop and becoming a, you know, moderator for them and host for their panels, which was like really dope as hell. And then on top of that,
you did good work.
Oh, it's man, thanks. It's absolutely awesome. It was just great to be with a company that really values me, and I think that's the biggest and best part about it all.
Dude, I get that 100%. Like being valued, like where you work and do your thing, that is so freaking important. So like, and you do amazing work. You know, you put so much love and heart into what you do, and so I'm glad that somebody else, you know, who wants to help pay your bills, noticed that. And like, you know, like it's so important.
True indeed. And not only that, but to trust me, trust me with the guests and people that I've been able to, work with and everything. It was just been awesome. So like, I mean, that plus I got a chance to go to New York Comic Con for the very first time ever, and it was like an invite, as a guest and press. So I was like,
it's awesome, right?
I've been told things are going to happen like again this year, but I'm just leaving it open. So I'm like, my birthday, if I don't do anything exclusive, but game, chill.
Dude, throw down some games. Just have like a super dope like dinner or something like that. Get yourself.
That's
a nice
pretty much
meal.
what me and my wife are going to do. We're just going to go out, chill, and then just keep it, because like this whole entire year is going to be very interesting. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
so it's all good.
Like, that's one of the things that's been like one of the biggest changes, like, is not being able to go. Like, I haven't been to an event in almost 2 years, at least in the States anyway, right?
Right, so, exactly.
So like that's one of the things I miss the most. But like, you can't put any expectations on it, because you just you just never know. Like from week to week, you just never know.
Yeah, exactly.
How it's gonna be. So you're just flying by the seat of your pants. But no, that's awesome. You got to go to New York Comic Con. That's a really good event, and one that's very important to me personally. New York Comic Con is responsible for some of the biggest life events that I can possibly imagine. So like New York Comic Con is not only where I met Jess.
Wow. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, we first met at New York Comic Con. What was that, 2011?
Mm-hmm.
And she was cosplaying as Trombone.
Nice.
That's all I needed.
That's all it took. A little bit of Mega Man inspiration.
And then it's funny because it's all Mega Man related, because and then in 2010 New York Comic Cons where I met Keiji Inafune,
right,
and kind of like made the first link in the chain to me getting in the game.
That is right. You did tell me that the last time you were on the show, and I didn't put piece the two together. That's
the New York Comic Con is a very special event to me. So I'm super glad you got to go and experience it and have a good time.
Not only did I love it for the first time, but it was just a matter of the fact that under the new climate that we're in, and they were still handling they were so professional. It made me proud to work with this crew. Like, because I don't know if you heard what happened like weeks later, or a month or so later, with Anime New York City.
Yeah, I heard about it. Yeah,
and at the same Javits Center, like it was like night and day from what like Repop did as opposed to what these guys did, and I was like, this is really not. I don't know how they handled the structure, but it just made Repop look that much better at what they did, because I had none of those problems the entire 4 days I was there. Well,
I'm glad you didn't have any issues, because it's like you said, you never know what the heck's going to happen. So
exactly.
I'm glad you were able to have a smooth, good experience.
Especially being my first time, that mattered. But I digress. We got to talk about what's going on right now in a couple of weeks, and that is GUNVOLT Chronicles Luminous Avenger X2. Like,
yes, sir.
I love the first game.
Thank you. No,
let me just say this. You know the deal. I've been a fan of GUNVOLT since day one. And
yes, you have.
It is safe to say that it is indeed a spiritual successor to Capcom's style of 2D platformer, once known or seen as Mega Man. And now you have this. Now the universe continues to expand with this spinoff with Copen, and he's back with a new adventure. In terms of just gameplay, because you don't have to give me everything or give our listeners everything. Just in terms of gameplay alone, what can we expect from this next installment?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with Copen's gameplay from playing him as maybe like GUNVOLT 2 or in the first Luminous Avenger X game, there's actually quite a few. Well, I don't want to say quite a few. There's actually a few like major gameplay changes that really sort of changed up the formula a bit. So which is nice because it creates a fresh new. It still feels like Copen, but it's still like a fresh experience. Because I would say the biggest things for this gameplay now, he has a new weapon called the Razor Wheel. He doesn't use kind of like this, like,
I'm digging that
anymore.
Yeah.
So he has a lot more close range combat abilities than he did before, because he's basically like a giant buzzsaw. It's pretty badass, actually. Like, so he still has, like, you know, like the dash and lock on mechanics where, you know, dash in the enemy, lock onto them, and have like the homing shots. That's still there. That's still a core part of his gameplay. But he's got a lot more, he's got a lot more capabilities on the ground and up close and personal than he did before. But at the expense of that, he's not quite as mobile in the air as he used to be. He can still do the air dashes and all that stuff that's kind of trademark Copen gameplay. But in the other games, he had up to 3 air dashes he could do at once before he had to land. Now in this game, you know, he can do 1 before he has to land or make contact with like the terrain or something like that. So it's, you know, he gains, you know, it's give and take, right? So it's a new formula for Copen, but I personally really like it, and I think it's one of those, like, once you get used to it, he opens up a lot more combat capabilities than he had before. And
it sounds like what's awesome about it, because I just replayed the first game.
Oh, did you? Nice.
You know, it just, like, that's what I love. Like games like, you know, anything Mario. I'll give Mario as a big example, because Miyamoto-san constantly refreshes that entire IP. Every game is not the same game.
Yep.
And I a lot of times when I play these games, I hope that everybody looks at that and it's like, you got to keep reinventing the wheel with this guy, with your IP.
Yeah, like if you always do the same thing, like, it just, no matter how good it is, it eventually can get stagnant. And like it's funny because you always feel like some people just always want just more of the same, and then some people just want, like, give me something brand new all the time. It's so hard to strike.
It is
that balance, you know. So 2D action games like Gunvolt, you know, Gunvolt's our flagship IP, right? So 2D action games like Gunvolt or Gunvolt Chronicles, you know, that's Inti creates his bread and butter. So, you know, we will be making 2D action as long as these lights are on. We'll still be making, you know, 2D action games of that nature. There's so much you can do with the formula. You know, just if you look at Copen's gameplay, how it evolves from GV2 to X1 and now X2, you can just see the transformation. And I think that's, you know, keep the core, the heart of the gameplay, you know, that high speed, high flying 2D action still there. So you have the essence is still there, but the fine details can, you know, change and evolve and all that stuff. And I think that's awesome.
But even more also, what is great about that is that you're giving the mechanics their own personality. You know, if I play AZURE STRIKER GUNVOLT, it's a totally different game. It, you know, it's all in the same universe, but it's a totally different game because of the play mechanics. And then you go and do the same thing for Copen. So you can enjoy every one of these with equal yet different experiences.
Absolutely. And then that's just the key, just to keep evolving. I mean, you mentioned Mario before. I mean, look at how much, you know, you go from Mario 64 to Sunshine to Galaxy to Odyssey. Like, you know, that heart of, you know, the 3D Mario essence is still there throughout the whole thing, but you can see just how much, not only obviously the graphics have evolved, but
right.
You know, gameplay elements have evolved too. And I think that's, you know, it still keeps the heart.
Even in 2D, even in 2D side scrollers still, like, there's something always to, you know, give. It's, they find some way to make something different. It's amazing what they do, and it's amazing what you guys do as well. With the uprising of this universe that you guys are creating. It's pretty awesome. It's
been a wild ride because, you know, this is, you know, we released Gunvolt 1 in 2014, and that was like Inti Creates' first foray into self-published original IPs, right? And, you know, here we are in 2022, you know, with the 4th game in the Gunvolt series, with the 5th one with Gunvolt 3 right on the horizon. That's also coming this year too. And then, you know, all the other, you know, original IPs that we've created. It's been crazy. Like, you know, because up until then, everyone knew us for, you know, doing Mega Man 0 and Mega Man 9, Mega Man 10, and like that's all well and good and great. But there is something to be said about being able to stand on your own 2 feet with your own original creations.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Awesome. Now, you know, I had a few game developers on the show in 2020. People you're very familiar with: Greg Casavan of Supergiant Games, Matt Bozen, Way Forward, Mike Herman. I don't know if you ever got a chance to meet him. He's in Collegeville, and he does a wrestling game called Retromania Wrestling.
Yeah, I've heard of Retro. I haven't met him personally, but I heard of Retromania.
Yeah, he's kind of still new. He's kind of still new, but to his credit, what he did with that game and what he's doing with that game is just pretty awesome. I mean,
Retromania looks super, super cool.
It is a lot of fun too, and he's constantly tweaking on it. They're about to come out with the next update. I also got a chance to talk to Ben Fiquet, you know, who's in Paris when they were working on Streets of Rage 3. Or, 4, I mean,
that's awesome.
And all of them during the time of 2020 each had their own significant challenges with the pandemic and everything. So Inti Creates being in Japan probably has the biggest challenge trying to work through the current climate of everything. I mean, I've been following what Japan has been going through because I have not just video games as a fandom, but also, you know, wrestling and how, you know, the wrestlers from other countries and everything can't come in. You guys can't get out. The pandemic situation is just getting, you know, it just goes up and down over there.
Yeah, man.
How much of a challenge has it been for the company since the pandemic has begun?
Like, yeah, so on that front, like I would say the biggest thing that we lost the ability to do was go to the international events, aka like all the events in the States. You know,
What you do best.
It's honestly, I miss it so much. Like
I bet
it's a little grueling at times, just making those super long flights and having jet lag knock you upside the head for a week, and then just, you know, but like the dude, like those events were like they gave me like so much fuel that I needed. Like it's so, I miss them so much, and like we especially for being a small to mid-sized Japanese game developer, we were doing a lot of US events. Like I would say more than any, I would put a $5 down on a bet that we did the most US events for a Japanese game company that didn't have a US office.
Right. And I remember when I followed, you know, I remember following, you know, you guys on social media and everything. Yeah, you guys were hustling.
Like we were doing in 2019, we did like 2019 into 2020, we did PAX South, PAX East, PAX Prime, or PAX West, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Anime Expo, Anime NYC. We did we did MomoCon. We did all kinds of stuff, dude. And just going to all these events and like that, being able to, you know, because, you know, North America, that's my audience.
Yes.
You know, those are the people that I'm responsible for connecting with, and you know, making them bigger fans or making them fans of our games from nothing, right?
Right.
So those chances to go to those events was so good to get your game in people's hands, because here's the thing, man, like with every passing year, it becomes harder and harder and harder to market your games and get them in front of people's eyes and get them in people's hands. There are just, this isn't a bad thing, there are just so many games out there.
Social media is it's a tool, but it's not like an effective tool to the point that you can do better by just interacting in person.
Exactly. Like social media, it's one part of your arsenal, right?
Yeah.
It's not the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And, you know, with, like I said, just with every passing year, just so many amazing games from, you know, AAA developers to, you know, ragtag crews of indie devs with a dream and everything in between. You know, it's you have all these amazing games coming out, and there's only so many gamers who only have so much time, you know?
Yeah.
So it becomes increasingly challenging with each passing year to get your game out there, to get it in front of people. And what the events were so good at, it was the best tool we had for getting our game in front of people, be it existing fans or people who are seeing it for the first time. Right. So losing the ability to do that has been very challenging, because you gotta try to make up that ground somehow, right? And it's really hard when you have no physical presence in anywhere outside of Japan.
Now, if it helps make you feel better and the company feel better, you know G4 is back, right?
I do.
So I watched an episode of X Play, and one of the cast members actually kind of name drop AZURE Striker Gunvolt as a game that a lot of people should be playing right now.
You know, I didn't know that when it aired, and then what was it, like a few days ago? One of my really good friends just messaged me out of the blue. She's just like, "Hey, look what's on TV," and she just sends me like a video clip from her phone of them talking about Gunvolt. I was like, oh, dang.
I mean, it's a testament of the impact that all the hard work that you guys to make such a great game. You know,
it is. And you are absolutely right about that. And you know, because Gerard, the completionist, he's part of G4 now.
Yes.
And he's a good friend. And so I messaged him after I saw that, like, do you have anything to do?
No, I think everything that they do is just pretty much ad lib, and they just, blurt it out. And I think that's when TBH pretty much, or the Black Hokage, pretty much just, blurted out and said it. And it was like, yo, that's dope. Somebody, Inti Creates is really making somewhat of they're making noise. Even still to this day, they're making noise, and it's dope. Like the retro gaming community is still out there, and you guys, I think, are a lot of you. Honestly, Inti Creates way forward. I mean, between you guys and Yacht Club Games, you guys are like in the forefront of, keeping and maintaining the modern day retro community when it comes to gaming.
Say, like the three of us, we're like the Triforce of like retro style.
Exactly. Like, the Trinity.
I cannot say enough great things about the folks at Way Forward and Yacht Club Games. I've worked with them for years on different projects, and they are just, I cannot say enough wonderful things about those teams. They're so good. They make such incredible games, and they're such awesome people. And you can't help but want to just like support people like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I really enjoyed them.
It makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely. I mean, and just learning about like I'm here doing with you, just learning about everything that you guys do. I have such a deep respect for indie game developers. I mean, and I know that's where the completionist is, that's up his alley and everything. And when I hear him talk about it on X Play and all this stuff, it warms my heart because I understand.
Yep.
And there's a like, I think indie game is the real art of gaming right now.
It is. And like, and that's not to take anything away from, AAA developers.
No, not at all.
It's just like, but it's like, it's a different beast because, you have so much, if a AAA game bombs, the studio's not going to close, right? Or like, you're not going to, it's
but they got so much more to worry about. I mean, they got stock shareholders, they got, all of those, the pressure of that. And then on top of that, it's mostly money driven. Whereas a lot of times, indie games are created by people with passion, people who already worked in, these other major, organizations, the EAs, if you will, and wanted to create their own thing. I mean, you guys got Keiji Inafune with you guys. I mean, that's a story in itself. Getting to work with him was amazing. And then, I mean, that kind of speaks to the founding of Inti Creates. I mean, Inti Creates was literally founded by a group of Capcom employees who was like, hey, we want to do our own thing together. Okay, I guess we're making our own company. And well, here we are. So, I mean, there's definitely something that speaks to that. And, our 2D side-scrolling action games with pixel art, like the top-selling genre of video games? No. But you know what? That's what we love to make. That's what we're good at. And there are, like you said, there are still plenty of people who still love and appreciate these games. And that's the thing. It's like, we've
we've grown a lot over the past, since, Gunvolt came out and we started really doing our own thing, right?
Yeah.
And, we've grown a lot since then. But I still feel like, despite how much we have grown, I still feel like there is so much more room for growth.
Yeah.
I still feel like, especially with, anime style games becoming more popular in recent times. And, with like just the amazing creativity and talent that our, character designers have, you look at games like, games with, well-designed anime characters are probably more popular now than they've
Let's
ever
just say every one of your games.
And so like, I still think there's more room to grow with the people who love retro stuff. I still think there's more room to grow with the people who love like anime style games and all these other places in between. Like, so like we've by no means like, okay, well, we've pretty much tapped out any possible fan base we could have. No. I think we still have plenty of room to grow, and I hope we can keep doing that.
Now, in addition to the questions that I have, I mean, in terms of philosophy, when it comes to game development, are you guys more about making them fun, making them challenging, or because? And I'm thinking about this because I played Metroid Dread. It's like there's a love-hate relationship with that game with me. Whereas I hate them for making my heart beat the way they do when these Emmys come, but then it's something rewarding about it when you actually accomplish something. And then I play your games, especially the last Luminous Avenger X, where it gave you choice. It gave you freedom of choice to say, you want to go gutless or you want to just go and put in the effort. And it gives you a choice. And I'm a proud gutless player. There's some days I'm a little stressed out. I don't want to be annoyed, but just enjoy the environment. Where do you guys stand on that?
If you want to hear those hot Lola tracks, you gotta, if you want to make sure you hear Lola sing to you every stage, that's one way to do it. And I think you actually hit on what I was gonna say was like, I think striking a balance is key and giving players as much choice as you can.
Yes.
You don't want to if you force people to either have an experience that like, especially, with this 2D action games like this, there's a decent chunk of people who are really experienced with these kind of games and they want a challenge. And then there's still, especially in like the Gunvolt fandom, there's a bunch of people, especially people, there's like, I would say, despite the fact that, the 2D, retro style games tend to attract a bit of an older crowd, the Gunvolt fan base has a bunch of younger people too, who did not grow up playing those kind of games like we did, right? And so they're not used to like, grueling, punch you in the face.
No, they do.
The action game difficulty. And I think if you forced that audience to have that grueling experience, you would lose them pretty quickly.
Right.
So I feel like, especially with games like Gunvolt, that, it's a hardcore 2D style action game, like at its essence, but it's also a very story-driven game too.
Exactly.
For being a 2D action game, it's pretty story-driven.
Oh, and that's what I love. I'm a story-driven. I'm a very story-driven gamer. Like,
so, like having that option, like with Gunvolt, and this has been the case since Gunvolt 1. It's like the game is as hard as you want it to be.
Right.
And especially like one of the big things that we added to Gunvolt 2 that I forgot to mention earlier, talking about new coping gameplay. One of the big new additions to his gameplay is that Lola has a new healing ability that you can use to full heal yourself anytime you want, as many times as you want.
Oh, wow.
Could sit there and you could just stand there and take a pounding and just it's like, oh no, you're about to get KO'd, heal. Oh no, you're about to get KO'd, heal. Now,
the days of the game, Genie.
with that said, you of course lose all your kudos or like your points that you
there is a hand. I love that. I
love
love that.
If you are going, there's people in those games who are like, I want to get an S+ rank. I want to get a dope high score.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to learn these patterns. I'm going to learn this, and I'm going to, execute this with surgical precision.
Mm-hmm.
You have those types, and then you have some types that's like, hey, listen, I'm not super good at these style of games. These bosses are are roughing me up right good, but you still have a chance.
Yeah.
So whether you want to use healing 10 times or whether you're trying to go for a no damage run or somewhere in between, you have that option. You have that ability.
Right.
And I think I think that's the key, is giving players that choice. Do you want to, like, you know, and like with the Gunvolt games, you know, the other ones, you know, like Gunvolt has like his like pervasion ability, which is, you know, like, you know, as long as he has like his like electric meter, if he takes a hit, he doesn't lose health, but he just loses some of that meter, which you can recharge. Just tap down twice, boom, it's full again. And as long as you can literally stand there and just keep tapping, double tapping down, and you're basically invincible, right?
Right.
So, and so if you're having a tough time, you just, hey, make sure your energy is full and you'll be good. But then you have the people who like, you can take pervasion off whenever you want, if you want to go for that challenge or go for those higher scores.
Right.
So I think the team did a really fantastic job in this genre of giving, you know, basically trying to please as many people as you possibly can.
Right.
Because we want people to experience the story, whether you're a action game super pro or this is the first 2D action game you have ever played. You know what I mean?
Right. And what I also say too, what I appreciate is that, yes, this is a 2D game that is, you know, kind of that it pays homage, or there is an essence to the iconic Capcom past, but it doesn't feel like it. It really does feel like a game of its own. It has a story of its own, even though some of the patterns are the same. There are some signature differences that when I play it, I don't think this is a clone. This is completely a really fun experience. They got their own move sets, their powers, their mechanics, everything. You know, you know, just the core base of it. That's pretty much it. But once you get past the core base, it's its own being. So, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I think that's essential, really. Like, you can't carbon copy too much in a game, otherwise you're not giving anybody they haven't seen before. So no, I think that's definitely the way to do it.
Yeah. So for the first time ever, you are entering the world of voice acting as the narrator for Luminous Avenger X2.
You got me.
Just when you was about to get on the mic. What was it like getting behind the mic and adding a new title to your resume?
It was freaking awesome. I have always been fascinated by the world of voiceover. It's something I've always would have been like, you know, in another life, you know, I would have loved to pursue that career from when I was a kid, you know. But that's the beauty of something like voiceover, is that you're never too old to start.
Right.
You know, I'm no spring chicken anymore, but you know, it's that's the beauty of that, is that, you know, you see people who begin their voiceover careers in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Like,
I have friends, very well-known friends, who are like our seniors that are still doing this, and they've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, like, and that's the beauty of voiceover, is that you know, you're not limited by, you know, it's not how pretty you are or how fit you are or what kind of crazy feats you can do.
Right.
If you got the skill and the voice and the creativity, you have a chance, right? Yeah. And it's something I've always loved and been fascinated with. And you know, but you know, I'm still very, you know, I'm in every sense of the word an amateur. You know, I've done some voiceover training, you know, to some degree, but it's not by no means even close to what I would call a professional.
The fact that you made it into the booth speaks volumes.
I mean, like, you know, I'll be the first to, you know, this is a game I'm working on myself, right?
Right.
But when we did the voiceover, because here's another thing that's really cool about Luminous Avenger X2, is that this is the first Inti creates self-published game.
Oh wow!
With full English voiceover.
I was very excited when I found out that you guys were going doing the dubs. I was very excited.
It's something I've wanted to do for a long time,
Yeah.
And it's funny because, we talked about what, the pandemic has made difficult. Believe it or not, the pandemic has actually, I think, made it possible for me to be able to get English VO into this game, because the new norm for voiceover now is everybody does it remotely.
Built-in homemade closets studios.
Any professional voiceover artist has their own home setup, right?
And I'm telling you,
it's their money maker.
Every actor that I've had the opportunity to interview in the past couple of years, it's interesting to see their closet. Like, some of them go all out and invest in a whole studio that they just built in their house. Other people are literally in their closet. Like, Cal Aber, who's the voice of Gohan from Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, he was my last guest. He was the last guest of the year for 2021 that I had. He literally was in his closet when I interviewed him. And guess what? That Kyle sounded awesome. I mean,
it's wild, isn't it?
You would not ever even know that these guys are in really closed areas doing what they do. That's how professional they were. Now, did you have to do that same thing too, or were you actually in a booth?
I was in a booth here in Japan. So we were doing, we do stuff in the studios all the time. So we were doing a couple different things, and we were actually doing the trailer voiceover for Luminous Avenger X2. Yeah. And so that when the trailer voiceover was done, I hopped in there and did my little thing. And but this is something it's like my biggest fear with this is it was people will see my name in the credits as the narrator and be like, oh, well, he just inserted himself in there because he works on the game. And well, that's partially true. I worked with an amazing, an absolutely amazing human being. Her name's Diana Garnett. She worked as my voiceover director for this game. I've had the pleasure of working with her a lot over the past couple years. She did, when we did the Gunvolt OVA for the 3DS back in the day.
Oh, yes, I remember that. I still have it, actually.
She did the voice of Jewel and Lumen for that English dub. She's a singer and voice actress herself based here in Japan. And she's awesome. She did, you're a Naruto guy?
Yes.
Do you remember one of the ending songs for Naruto called Spinning World?
Have the song. I own the song.
I think it's from Shippuden, but it's one of the she did it. That's her song.
Oh, that's dope.
And she also did the opening song for Dragon Mark for Death too.
Oh. Yeah.
She did. She's awesome. She's super talented.
Another really great game, by the way. I love that you guys did.
So, but she's a seasoned veteran in this space. So she helped me not only direct all the voiceover, but she helped me cast the game too. And I may tell you, man, I am so freaking proud of the cast. I know you're talking about you want me to talk about my voiceover experience. I'll get to that, but man, I am so freaking jazzed about the cast that we put together.
I did see you guys got a really solid, stellar cast.
Unbelievably amazing, talented people that we got to do the cast. And Diana helped me through the whole thing because I've never done this before. I've never cast. When we did the OVA dub many moons ago, I didn't cast that. I did not cast that. I was just kind of there to do my thing. So this was sort of my first step into casting and directing the voiceover. I worked with she was the main director, so I was there more of a kind of a assistant director, I guess.
Yeah.
But it came out so good, and I'm so absolutely thrilled with the cast that we got. Every single one of them absolute professionals, and getting on this is kind of what I was getting on the Zoom calls with them and seeing their crazy home setups that these are people like Alejandro Saab and Cassandra Lee Morris and Kira Buckland. They're true blue professionals, and they have these awesome setups, and I'm just seeing on the Zoom call. I'm yep, okay, That's how it is.
We got this.
So, but like, dialing it back now, getting back to my own experience, like, it was something I've always wanted to do. And I told Diane, I'm like, listen, like, it's a small little thing. Like, I want to try this. And if I suck and I do not meet your quality standards, then please do not put me in. That was my one request. I'm like, if I sound like trash, I don't want to be in it. I do not want to be in it if I don't sound good.
I totally don't blame you.
But she helped me out. She coached me a bit, and I can't tell you how many times like, okay, do it like that, but without the Philly accent.
Oh man, no, we can't have any Philly funk in the game. Come on.
Well, like, I should say without the Philly accent, but without the sounding obviously Philly accent. When you're trying to, because when you're a narrator, you're supposed to be pretty down the middle, right?
Right. That is hilarious.
So yeah, that was fun. But he worked out, and again, so this is a small, tiny little thing, but just to be able to say that I'm in the same cast in a video game with the likes of Cassandra Lee Morris and Kira Buckland, and it's just that's dope.
It is. It very much is. You're among a great cast, a great group there.
And so it's been in that experience, as I was in and out in no time. Like, just the time in the booth is super short, but that experience and just being able to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
Has really inspired me to want to do more with it. Not just I want to get better with it. I want to take,
now that you got your
voiceover. Oh yes, absolutely. I want to do
you sound like
classes.
You sound just like me when you talk about Naruto. One of my good friends is the voice of Naruto, Molly Flanagan.
Oh, awesome.
She called me up, and then it's because of her that I'm here doing video interviews now, because she asked me to host their panel, their whole entire Naruto panel, 9 of the cast members on there with 50 people on Zoom. I've never done it before, and I did it and knocked it out the park, and we had a lot of fun with it. And I was like,
oh, that's awesome, dude. I love it.
And since that point, I've been doing nothing but audio and video interviews because of that time.
I love it.
Which then, eluded me working on the Repop Metaverse panels as well. Now I got a taste, and now I'm I can't stop. So I get it.
Yeah, so I got my taste, and I want more. But
I empathize.
But, I will have to, I got to get cast for something on my own merits.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my goal. One of my big goals going forward is to, get better at voiceover and land a role. I don't care if it's just random dude C, just to
get the credits in.
Yep, exactly. So that's a big goal I have for this year.
But that's the funny thing about it too. A lot of the voice actors out there, I like to say just actors, but a lot of the actors who do voice roles out there, they don't know. A lot of these actors are, people are fans of, who do some of their favorite voices of anime, but they also do all these sound effects too.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Or just played just random other people all the whole entire time. So it's just getting that credit in.
Yep. Yeah, and that's how you get the credits in, you build connections with casting directors, with just people in the space, and if you're a good person who's a team player, and you got a good
look, if you want me to say
right?
If you want me to say Eep 50 times and Eep sounds good so many times that you re-loop Eep on a video game, I'm all good with that.
I'm in. Yep, I'm in. I don't care if you want to be some derpy little mascot thing, or a little monster that just runs before it's one shotted by the hero. I don't care.
Right.
Whatever. I'm down. I'm down to clown. Let's just do it.
All right. So sticking with the Gunvolt universe, also announced to arrive in 2022 is the 3rd installment of AZURE Striker Gunvolt series. We got to see A lot of people are happy about that news. We did get to see a development update video with the legendary Keiji Inafune himself, who said that everything was still going well. Yep. We also saw an appearance of a brand new character that is going to be playable in the third installment as well. Can you give us any? I know you can't give us everything, but can you give us any type of info on what to expect on that?
Yeah, so the character you speak of, she's a brand new character. Her name is Kirin, 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 however you want to pronounce it. She's a brand new character in the Gunvolt universe, making her debut in GV3, and she is a sword wielding exorcist. So she's got like spiritual power. So like she fights with like a special sword, and she uses like talismans and stuff like that. Right. And she's super like lightning fast, like sword attacks style gameplay. Yeah. Super dope. Because we haven't even scratched the surface of what Gunvolt 3 is going to be for all y'all. So I can't give you too much. But suffice to say, she's a bona fide badass, and her gameplay is something totally new to the Gunvolt universe that I think people are really going to enjoy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I saw the footage of that. I was like, oh, this looks so beautiful. And
it's so good.
She looks like she's going to be a lot of fun, and obviously is going to play a big part of the story and narrative and everything. So I'm very much interested in what this story is going to be about.
Yep. It's we're working on it. That's because development of X2 is done. That's just waiting in the wings at all the different Nintendos and Sonys and Xboxes and stuff like that. So we're just going. I'm working on GV3 stuff now, and just like getting in there, getting my hands dirty now. I'm like, oh, yes, that's.
Now, not to get into the deep of the development and everything, but like when you said that, I just thought about that. You guys are just the format as to what it takes for each of these platforms to be improved, right? In terms of like making sure the controllers for that particular version is good and everything. Are you guys like are you guys just like it's just norm? You never have any hiccups or anything like that when it comes to that now, or does that still happen? Because I know for other people that I've interviewed, especially I mentioned Mike Herman. This was his first game, and it was a big learning curve for him and his team.
Yeah, when you submit for lot check or like Nintendo or like for cert for like Microsoft or whatever, like there's especially if you've never done it before, there's so many little pitfalls you can fall into that you won't even necessarily realize. Like, especially there's a lot of like just like by the book stuff, like terminology stuff. And, there's so many things that you got to make sure is right, and if they're not, they will let you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I would say most games do not pass on their first try.
Yeah.
When you try to get like certified by Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony, whatever, like there's usually usually stuff will come back and like fix like little stuff, like there's so many I don't want to get too into the weeds with it, but like there's like so many just like little things that can prevent your game from being certified on the first go around.
Right.
So many, even if it's just one little like terminology error, like you're not supposed to use like this term for like if like this like this is a PlayStation term, but it's like in all the wrong like that. That's nope. You gotta go in there. You gotta fix that. And you gotta read. It's a process, but and the more you do it, the more the more you become keen of what stuff to catch and what to make sure you double check before you send it in, and like
and that's
then, submitting to like ratings like ESRB and PEGI and stuff like that. That's a whole nother thing. And
that's one of the biggest misconceptions I think a lot of fans don't know about. Is just like it's not just giving every the same game to every game platform and it's just a go and it's going to go gold. No, each one is a different custom. Each one has its own ideology, sort of, kind of, in its own way of doing things, and you got to work with every single
Sure do.
PlayStation doesn't have Joy-Cons, so you got to make sure the Joy-Cons work both in handheld and separate.
Yep,
and make it work that way.
things like that you got to check. And because I said, if you don't, they will, and they'll tell you to fix it. So,
and I heard Nintendo Horror Stories, like they're really strict.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have to be. I mean, like, if you sell a game and then like, oh, I'm playing in handheld mode and it's all janky, like that looks bad not only for the developer but for Nintendo too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's it can be a royal pain in the tuchus sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's kind of beneficial for everybody.
No, absolutely, I agree. So, I believe the last time you were on, we spoke about this before, but since time has gone by and the series has grown exponentially with a solid library of games and cameo appearances on other games. We talked about Yacht Club games and what they're doing with like Shovel Knight IP and making a variety of different versions and types of games like that. Has Inti Creates thought about going other directions with it to broaden the series further? Maybe like a melee game here, maybe like a fighting game here. I know they had Blade Strangers, which paid kind of tribute to that. But have you guys thought about going somewhat other directions with it? Because I mean, there's so many possibilities with this IP.
No, there really are. Like because because of like there's if you add up all the games, there's a huge cast of characters. From all the boss characters in all the games.
Yeah.
I mean, just all the boss characters, and now with X2 in the mix, you're talking well over 20 characters just from the bosses alone, right?
Yeah.
So in that respect, you have a big enough cast to really to take this in a lot of directions. I've had fans over the years ask for anything from Gunvolt rhythm games, Gunvolt dating sim, Gunvolt fighting game, Gunvolt soccer.
Oh, Gunvolt soccer would be awesome.
Because Mega Man soccer, right? So
right, exactly. I never thought about that.
I've had requests of genres all across the board over the years.
Like Captain Tsubasa style.
It's people. We go through all kinds of ideas for not just existing IPs, but for original ones too. And the thing that sucks is that you only have so many people and so much time.
Exactly.
If we had 1,000 people, maybe we could do some crazy off the wall stuff.
Another misconception fans have.
Yeah, I mean, suffice to say, there have been all kinds of ideas thrown around the things we could do with the franchise. I can't really say exactly what those are, but suffice to say, that's what happens when you work with a bunch of creatives. You get all kinds of ideas from I've heard pretty much all across the board. So we've talked about all kinds of different stuff. Whether it could ever come to the point where it would be a fully developed published game, well, that's another story. But idea wise, oh, absolutely. All kinds of stuff.
I mean, you guys have worked with a lot of people, but like, I mean, whoever mentioned fighting games, kudos to them, because if y'all could work out a situation where Arc System Works, it's over.
Oh, that'd be good. No, I mean, hey, listen, on just a pure fan level, give me that.
That is a fan-made development idea for me. It's like Gunvolt, the Gunvolt universe with Arc System Works. Oh my goodness, I think there will be this will be the one to bring Evo back. It's a stream.
A man can dream, right?
Exactly.
It's just one of those. If we only had X amount of people or X amount of hours in a day type of thing. But
absolutely,
suffice to say, there have definitely been all kinds of ideas thrown around over the years for sure.
Right. So we talked about in the past your journey of being laid off from a job here in the States, and along with Jessica, aka Trombone. Shout out to her. Give her my highs when you talk to her.
I will.
You guys set off to Japan in hopes to find your way into the video game world, to which you did, which is just astounding when you really, really think about it. It's been years since that time, as we spoke about. Have you looked back at everything that has happened since then? And what would you define your journey at this point, up to this point?
Wow, it's a really good question.
It's one of those times because you're working so much, you don't stop and think.
No, you really don't. I honestly though I did the other day, when Jess and I had our 10-year anniversary, and just thinking about where we were then to where we are now, and just when, like you said, when I came here, the catalyst for me coming to Japan in the first place, because I had been here before, working as an English teacher after I graduated from university. And then I studied abroad here while I was in college. So by the time I graduated, I should say, when I graduated college, I had already been here for a few months, and I was jonesing to come back. And so when I was here for a year, then I went back to the States and tried to get my career started, and I met Jess along the way and all that stuff. But like it just, it was going in all kinds of crazy directions, none of which I anticipated when I graduated college. And, just trying to get by, do my thing, have a good life. And, just a complete blindsiding of a layoff, hit me like around the end of 2013. And, just completely threw off my whole plan. Right. And then you go into work one day, like I've been rolling in there, like with my breakfast, like we would always do like a weekly meeting. We'd all come in, we'd have like our little breakfast, whatever. We just kind of eat breakfast and like chat and just kind of catch everybody up. And I walk into this meeting with my breakfast, and there's my manager and the HR manager, and that's it. And I'm like,
that'll do it. The HR manager, man. It's like you don't normally see the HR manager, and when you do, it's like, man, what's happening?
Because normally it's like the whole team, right? And it's just them two. And I'm like, oh, I know what this is. And then you just get the spiel, and then by the end of the day, my entire team was out the door, and just like out of the clear blue sky. And just like, I was about to sign a lease on a condo for Jess and I, and like all this stuff, and just like, completely throws my whole game off. Right. So, and just trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And I'm like, started missing Japan again real hard. Right. Because like, I had a good thing going here. And Jess had always wanted to go to Japan and spend time there. And we talked about like, holy crap, Liam, what if we just said like, well, screw all this, let's just start over and just like do something crazy. And we batted the idea around for a long time, and then one day we just said, you know what, the heck with it. And we bought plane tickets at like 4 a.m. one night, and just like, you know what, screw it, we're gonna do it. We have the means. If we're gonna do this, it's gonna be now, right? And so we did. And I came over here with on a tourist visa, which basically allows you to stay for up to 90 days. And so I'm like, all right, we got 90 days to find a job.
So this is the part we didn't talk about, or I didn't know about. So you had a 90-day grace period, if you will. And wow, it's like you're in an RPG in your own
we spent the money on the plane tickets. We got, paid for lodging, using a bunch of savings and stuff that we had. And just like, it was do or die, really. Like, because if we
bet
failed,
on yourself,
we would have came back in even worse shape than when we left.
Right.
So hit the ground running, looking for work, anything really, just to get a visa. And I found a just an English teaching gig, just to hold me over, and did that for a while. And I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. And through a very fortunate chain of events, I found myself in contact with Inti Creates, and they were gracious enough to give me an interview, and I must have did something right, because they accepted me, and that was September of 2014.
Wow.
And when we first got here, we were in a 13 square meter apartment, which is about less than 200 square feet.
Yeah.
Basically a shoebox.
Basically, you're standing here, she's standing right there.
Yeah.
And you say goodnight, click.
Right. Sharing a single bed for 2 people, have like no room for anything.
Right.
And And now I'm looking at, when our 10-year anniversary hit, I'm like, I'm a 7-year game industry veteran, and I'm sitting on the couch inside a house that I bought in Japan that I own. Like, what the hell?
Exactly. And that's what I was waiting for you to say.
It's like, what the hell? How did this, like, what? Huh? Because you don't, when
people don't understand, like, when you got that passion and drive, you go blank. Like, whatever you do, you go blank, and you don't realize what you do because your drive is just taking over everything. And then when you finally stop to talk about it and look back, you just did what you just did.
It was like, wait a second.
How long have I been in Japan?
It's crazy, man. Like you really just like it. That was, if you told me, when Jess and I first started dating 10 years ago, if you would have told us, hey, in 10 years, this is where you'll be. What? You're nuts, right? That's what I would have said to you. And sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. And I'm not some exceptional person. I'm just a guy who wanted to do a thing. I wasn't bestowed by the circle of kings or the whatever. Right. I don't know, but I wasn't bestowed with some great power by anything. It's just a guy. And so I always say, like, I appreciate the kind words so much. And I'm just always like, man, like, if I can do this, anybody can.
Say it one more time, please.
If I can do this, anybody can.
It's funny you said that, because like I that's one of the things I want people that are listening now, that are watching, to get across. And it's just like, it really is, if you have the will and want to do it, like what you're doing. By the way, I'm living vicariously through you because you're in Japan. And then to the extent of what I'm doing, what I've been able to do, since ACMG is, going through their 10-year anniversary too. So
it's wild, right?
It is wild, because with everything that has happened since I started these 4 letters, it's just been surreal to even meeting you guys, to meeting people in the industry of all of these fandoms, talking to people in Marvel, DC, and talking to, you guys, and even like people in Singapore and Taiwan and Russia.
Yeah. And like, when you started ACMG, if someone told you, like, yeah, you'd be running all these things, you would have spoken to all these amazing people in every facet of those that makes up the A, the C, the M, and the G, like, it would have been hard to believe, I imagine.
There's part of me that says yes, and there's a part of me that kind of knew, because of my background, I knew the potential of what this can be. And if anybody's going to believe and have faith, it's got to be me. Because I'm the only one that has this vision to see it. And it's up to me to make sure this
yourself than I did when I started. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. Exactly. So
yeah, it's, sometimes you do got to take some risks, and you never know like how something's going to pan out. But like, if I've learned anything, is that if you don't try, like,
at least
you may fail. It may take you a couple tries, but like, if you, like, this may sound like, oh, you're just dreaming big, but like, I truly believe, like, if you want something bad enough, I'm not talking about like, oh, I want $1 trillion. Like, right. Okay, well, good luck, but
something a little bit more practical.
Yeah, like, if you have like a goal, like, I want to get this type of job, I want to learn this type of skill, I want to go to this type of place, like, it may take a while, you may stumble and fall and fail many times before you get it right, but like, if you don't try, like, I know this sounds so corny and cliche, but like, if you don't try, like,
I say it all the time too, don't trust me, I'll co-sign with you on this.
Like, if you don't try, like, that complacency is the death of creativity and passion. Like, if you Absolutely. Just like, if you're like, well, all right, well, I guess this is how it's going to be. That's where you got to check yourself right then and there. If you're like, oh, I guess this is how it's going to be. Oh, well, like, hold on just a minute. Like, that's bad news. You gotta that's when you gotta stop, step back, assess, and be like, am I really gonna be happy with that? And if the answer is no, sometimes you gotta take a risk. And it's it's the Wayne Gretzky quote. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yes. Agreed.
And like I said, we weren't blessed with powers from super cool anime characters. We're just two dudes who wanted to do a thing, and we're trying our best to do it.
Right. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Couldn't have said it better.
You want to do the thing.
No, yeah. I totally agree. I mean, like, I'm so glad that you said that, because it's one of those situations when you've been in a relationship. Sometimes like it's better to hear it from somebody else than to hear it from you.
100%. I can look in the mirror and be like, you got this, man. You got this, man. You're gonna do the thing. You're gonna do the thing. It's a lot different when like someone else comes and taps you on the shoulder, like, you're gonna do the thing. It's a whole different. It's different. It's different.
So I want to thank you again, making an appearance for the fourth time, getting to know you, and just your journey has just been so fantastic. And it's so inspirational to hopefully people that are listening and watching, but you're definitely inspiration to me. It's
thank you, man. Like,
I'm not joking when
I can honestly say the same. Like, you watching ACMG just grow the way it has, and just seeing what you as an individual have accomplished is super, super awesome. Like you said, you go back to 8 Static and where we were then, and where we are now. Like, you're making it happen. Like, when you can bring people together from all these different places and you can bring them together to you, I think that's like a superpower, man. Like, it's awesome. It's not everybody. That's not something everybody can do, and you're doing that, and I respect the hell out of that, and I think it's super cool.
Thank you so much. Stop trying to make a black man blush. But I got one more question for you, and this is like I guess this is another philosophical one, I guess.
Yeah, man, hit me.
Everything that you've done, like, what is the most valuable lesson that you could take from your journey thus far?
Man, oh my. This is gonna sound so basic, but this has been really apparent to me lately, is that, like, you gotta listen to what your heart and your gut is telling you. Like, if you're always constantly trying to grow, there's things that you want to do, and there's so many things in life, be it things of your own doing or things of just the environment around you or other people, whatever it may be, that will, inadvertently or inadvertently try to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, right? I'm trying to keep it PG. Stuff happens, right? So, there are so many things that will come at you via things that you see coming or things that you don't, try to knock you off your track and, make you think, okay, well, I can't do this. This is going to be too hard. This is going to be too risky. It's going to be too challenging. Like, the heart wants what it wants, and you got to listen to that, because the more you ignore it, or the more you tell yourself, I don't know, man, like, I just don't think it's going to work for me.
Yeah. The
harder it's going to get to just deal with that.
Yeah.
Both in my career and my, both as a professional and as an individual, like, there's so many things I want to do, obviously as a professional, keep growing my craft, keep becoming a better, better localizer, better producer, better, all of that stuff. And then, things I want for me, I want to be a better streamer. I want to get better at voice acting. I want to, do cool stuff in my car. There's all kinds of stuff I want to do, right? And if you like starve yourself of those things, it can affect you in so many ways that you don't even realize. Because when you're stifling your passion, be it for whatever reason, Because think, oh, I got it. I can't make time for this. I got to do this. I can't make time for this. I got to do that. Or this just doesn't feel feasible, whatever. It will eat you alive. It eats you alive.
I see it all the time.
Ignore that. You can't ignore that. Do yourself a favor and just, even if you need to like just stop and just be like, look your damn self in the mirror and be like, what do you really want?
Right.
And you may have to make some big changes to make that happen. It may take you a while to get there. It may be a journey before you can get there. It may not be something you can do starting the next day.
Right.
But you can't ignore that. And like, we've all been there. We've all told ourselves it's not going to work. We've all doubted ourselves. But you can't. The more you let that fester, and the more you try to stifle that in favor of doing, just like, oh, I can't. This isn't feasible. I gotta just, nose to the grindstone, straps, whatever you want to call it. And the more you stifle that drive, for whatever reason, no matter how noble you think it is, it's going to eat you alive. And the best thing I can say is that, you got to find a way. Listen to what your heart wants, especially when it comes to your own personal growth, your own personal things you want to do. Doesn't matter what anybody else wants. What do you want for you? I've been notoriously bad at listening to what I want for me for a very long time. And I'm really trying to get better at that. And just even in the small steps that I've made, I've realized how big of an impact it really does have. So let that lesson that I've learned recently be one to you. Hopefully that can help you too, because it's a big deal. And just, it may not be easy. You may have to make some big changes and sacrifices. But if you listen to what your heart wants and you follow that, you can only go so wrong, You
have said nothing wrong at all. 200% on that. Like that. Absolutely.
I get into space, man. It just blah.
Me and you are totally in sync with that. And that's from experience. That's not just, coming out of their mouths, and into the ears of, nobody with any merit. That's from experience. That's literally.
I've learned that the hard way. Trust me.
As you should have, because nothing is going to be that easy. Everybody, there's nobody exempt from the trials and tribulations.
Nope. No matter how successful you think someone is, I guarantee you they've been through the ringer and back. Nobody who is super successful, who's like living the dream, as you may in your eyes, got there, people who are truly passionate about and doing something and using that passion to fuel their lives. Nobody got there without trials and tribulations. Nobody got there without a crap ton of missteps. And you can't be afraid of that stuff. If you're afraid to fail, and I'm afraid to fail all the time, and it holds you back. Holds you back.
I'm always in the mindset of a saying that you only lose if you don't know how you lost. So, no matter how many times I get any kickbacks, I evaluate the situation to see what I did and what I need, what I shouldn't do the next time around. And I usually follow up with success from that point. But it just takes trial and error and time. It does. You're absolutely, you're 100% correct on that. So, Matt, thank you again.
Success, right from the get-go. Check yourself.
Enough said. Matt, thank you so much again for being on the show, man. It's been awesome. I'm so happy. Man. I am so very happy. I'm glad that you guys are doing okay. I'm glad that you guys are healthy over there in Japan.
Yeah, man. Doing good.
And trust me, this is indeed a great birthday gift for me, just talking to you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. I'm glad I could do that. It's always a joy to come on here and talk with you and just have, every time I leave, having a great conversation. So keep doing what you're doing, man.
And now we can see each other again.
Yeah, right. It's been almost 2 years. As soon as I can get on a plane and not have to worry about how in the world I'm going to get back in Japan, it's on.
Right. Without having to do a 1 week or 2 week stay in a hotel or whatever like that.
Yeah, man. Like, I cannot wait to, like, I miss, honestly, I don't miss America that much, but I miss my family and friends. I miss,
I totally understand.
I miss people. Here's the three things I miss. I miss people, food, and events. That's what I miss.
That's all you need.
So, right. I would kill a man. No, I wouldn't kill a man. I would do backflips in the street for just a nice Italian hoagie right now, man.
You're gonna make me have to go downtown to Reading or something like that to just look out for you, right?
Oh, dude, Reading Terminal. Oh, you're killing me, man. Oh God, oh God, just give me all of that. Just patience is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. It'll get there.
I feel you. So right now, while you're waiting for that hoagie, how about give some plugs and let our listeners and everybody who's watching where they can find all of what you're doing next and what Inti Creates is doing right now.
Yeah. So so for Inti Creates, you'll definitely want to follow the Inti Creates official Twitter at Inti Creates EN for all the latest on that. Any new news, any happenings, any shenanigans, all it's going through the Inti Creates Twitter. You can follow, if you want to know what I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter as well at MegaMatt TV, and on Twitch also at MegaMatt TV. I've been streaming a lot recently. Streaming is one of my big goals for 2022. I want to stream a lot more. So yeah, if you like, I've been playing Gran Turismo, Genshin Impact. I just played GUNVOLT recently. Play a bunch of retro stuff, all kinds of goodies. So if you want to hang out with your boy on Twitch or on Twitter, that's where you can find me. And so I'm looking forward to a big year this year.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to playing that game in about a couple weeks. And oh
yeah, man, it's gonna be great.
Enjoy it, as well as AZURE Strike GUNVOLT 3. I'm so excited about all this and what you guys are doing right now.
Man, it's coming. Definitely stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have some more juicy tidbits on that, hopefully sooner rather than later. But say the team's going full tilt and it's looking really cool. That much I can tell you.
No doubt. Well, thank you guys for all your hard work. Thank you guys for the enjoyment of video games and retro games alike. And
my pleasure.
I look forward to seeing what you do next. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this very special episode of Talk Time Live with the one and only Matt Papa. On behalf of myself and Big Papa himself, all I got to say is learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is ACMG Presents Talk Time Live. We are out of here. Take care.